with an AEW retirement and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Addressing critics that say women should not take part in hardcore matches, Britt Baker told What Culture. I think at the end of the day, people like what they like and they hate what they hate. You can't put women in a box and not let them break out of it. If you like hardcore matches, then you should like hardcore matches. It shouldn't matter who's in the ring. If it's a good match, it's a good match, no matter who's on either side of the ring. They're definitely not fun. It hurts for a long time too. It does hurt. I wouldn't take back anything I've done. I'm very proud of it. I'm happy. I'm happy for what it did for AEW, myself, and for women's wrestling. Remembering his time spent in TNA, Booker T said this on his Hall of Fame podcast. I was trying my best to entertain myself in TNA. When I got to TNA, I really had high hopes to really be able to capture some moments in that company, and after about 2 weeks, I realized none of that was going to happen. So I just started acting a fool. I really did. I really started acting a fool. I'm actually ashamed of myself for some of the stuff I did in TNA. I really am, because I knew it wasn't going anywhere and I lost my zeal for really going out and performing the way I think I always had before that. I lost my motivation. I had a 2-year contract and I lost my motivation. I've been watching Last Dance. I'm at episode 9, and to watch Michael Jordan's drive, he was like a tyrant. He wanted nothing but the best from the guys that were around him. I know when I went to TNA, I felt I had that same feeling as far as I'm going to push these guys to really see exactly how far they can go, because I knew I had some young talent that I could really go out there and maybe create some magic with. Then when none of that happened, I lost my passion, just because I knew it was out of my hands. It was out of my control. There was nothing I could do with it. I was nowhere near that circle of people that was running it or anything like that. So I just literally just said, man, I'm going to come pick my check up. I'm going to try to have some fun and try to create something at the same time. And when these 2 years are over, we'll move on. Saying this about Hulk Hogan dropping the WWE title to Yokozuna, Jim Ross said on his Grilling JR podcast, "It was an interesting experience because he had to be tended to. He had needs. And that happens when you're a big star. He spent a lot of time with Vince McMahon during that time to work out a finish for his match, which I didn't understand and why it took so long. Nonetheless, I guess it's part of the routine. I don't know. Maybe it made Hulk feel better. If it did, cool. It was an interesting day to see how business was transacted behind the scenes. You can't say it was because, well, Hogan didn't want to lose the title to a lesser guy. There's no way you can call Bret Hart a weak successor. It was the right thing to do. Hart was the hottest thing we had. But for whatever reason, Hogan didn't want to lose the title to Bret. And I have never understood that. It's just illogical. McMahon made Hogan rich and famous. Everyone in WWE was built around Hogan. Why aren't you professional enough to do the right thing for the business?" Following Smackdown, Seth Rollins took part in a dark match and then said this to the Iowa fans. Here are the videos.
Welcome to Friday Night Live! I tell you what, y'all, I've been watching in the monitor back there. You guys have been one hell of a crowd. I'll tell you what. You read my mind. I was about to say it feels damn good to be home. I woke up in my bed this morning in Davenport, Iowa. Got in my car, drove on across stop outside the walkout. Past the University of Iowa.
Speaking about having one final run in wrestling, Maria Kanellis told the AEW Unrestricted podcast, "My daughter wants me to wrestle, so does my son. You get those pulls. They didn't see that part of my life, but they want to and they're interested. So it's almost like you have to kind of redo it a little bit so they can see it. I don't know. I truly felt like I was done. My last match I had was at WrestleMania 35. It was after I had my daughter and right before I got pregnant with my son. When I walked out, I was like, I don't think this is for me anymore. I don't think the wrestling part is for me anymore. But now because of the kids, I'm like, shoot, because they really want to see me wrestle, especially my son. Maybe one more run in wrestling. We'll see if it comes up." After qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match, Santos Escobar said this about it: "When I do that, win the briefcase, all my Latinos out there will be proud and happy because LWO Santos Escobar is going to meet his destiny when I cash in that contract and become the champion." With it announced that Young Rock has been canceled by NBC after 3 seasons, Dave Meltzer said this about the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio: "We knew it was. I knew it was the minute they moved it to Friday night and that first ratings came in. Really, I knew when they moved it to Friday night that this was coming because it was not going to draw head-to-head with Smackdown. The minute you saw that, you go, no thinking person would ever schedule Young Rock head-to-head with Smackdown, but they did, and the show wasn't doing great on Tuesday anyway, so it might have been a way to justify. A lot of times in television, someone wants a show canceled, and they don't want the heat canceling it, so what they do is move it to Friday night or Saturday, and it does terrible ratings because those nights do terrible ratings, and then they can justify it by saying, look at the ratings." Speaking about the upcoming show in the UK for AEW, it would be noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's actually becoming amazing about UK ratings on the ITV4 since the announcement of Wembley. Not only as noted before, have ratings not gone up since the announcement, but they've actually declined greatly. Talking about markets outside the US rejecting AEW Collision, it was said on Wrestling Observer Radio, when Rampage started with CM Punk, it did draw, but TSN didn't keep the show. I would have expected, if nothing else, June 17th as a one-time special, and they didn't even greenlight that. So and again, we don't know what's going on in the UK other than AEW Plus on Fight. That's the way to go. They're adding Collision, and I don't know if there's going to be a price increase, 2 hours more a week commercial-free. With an AEW star out of action, Ringside News noted that a recent injury has sidelined Yuka Sakazaki, who had announced her departure from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling in May. She was set to make an appearance for All Elite Wrestling after her final show in December, but that didn't happen. Unfortunately, TJPW released a statement revealing that Sakazaki suffered a neck injury, forcing her to withdraw from the company's June 11th event. Medical professionals have deemed her unfit to compete, resulting in the Princess Tag Team titles held by Sakazaki and Mizuki being vacated. Additionally, Yuka Sakazaki was originally scheduled to face Nyla Rose from AEW at the Summer Sun Princess event on July 8th. However, due to her injury, she has been pulled from that show as well. Recalling the WrestleMania 29 match between CM Punk and The Undertaker, Paul Heyman told Rick Rubin, "I thought when we were going with Punk versus Undertaker and Paul Bearer had just passed away, and we had done the out-of-the-box and way over-the-line story on television that we laid out The Undertaker, and then we poured the ashes of Paul Bearer out of The Undertaker's urn onto The Undertaker, which was just the heaviest thing we could think of doing." I was like, okay, if there's a guy that could be anointed as a top-tier star, if there's someone that could become equal to Cena at this point in time, the Macho Man to Hogan, The Rock to Steve Austin, a clear 1 and 1A, that if we give Punk this victory, we've established someone for the next 20 years as a star. I thought the case could be made for that. CM Punk was ready to beat The Undertaker. In Vince's mind, and a lot of other people's mind, and most likely in Taker's mind, Phil Brooks was not going to get that victory. CM Punk, yes. Phil Brooks, no. That was their decision. That was their judgment. But Brock Lesnar going against the streak, the moment Vince came to us and said, hey, here's what I have in mind for Mania, when he said Brock versus Undertaker, first thing in my mind was, oh my god, we're getting the streak. I didn't see it any other way. I couldn't fathom it any other way. With him in the UK filming, head of state John Cena was spotted in a Liverpool gym. Here's the video.
No, not women, like I just need to... I'm gonna ask him. What's going on here?
Touching on the scheduled return of CM Punk to AEW on the 17th, Thunder Rosa said this on Busted Open Radio. It can go either way, you know, because I think you can add a lot of fuel to the fire. I think he could go either way, babyface or heel. I feel like the fans, no matter what, some of them are extremely upset and offended that he's coming back. Replying to news posted by Ringside News, where it was noted that Sgt Slaughter said that Lacey Evans was using the Cobra Clutch without his blessing, LockBetting.com wrote, see, Chris Benoit knew how to respect the business. When he was thinking about what he wanted to do, he called Jimmy Snuka first to make sure he was stealing his gimmick. Jimmy was fine with it. These punks these days don't respect those who paved the way. Sgt Slaughter replied, amen. Another person would write, someone makes a move famous. It's professional courtesy to ask. Not asking implies that they don't feel that they need to, that they're all just moves that anyone can do or be given to anyone at any time. Seems obvious that wrestling was better when these things mattered. Slaughter would respond with a thumbs up and a salute. As seamstress, Sandra Gray is no longer going to be on the road for AEW, according to PW Insider. She said this about retiring, writing on Twitter, with all my heart, thank you Tony Khan and my entire AEW family for the most beautiful and loving send-off ever. I'm so honored to have been with this company since day one. I'm overwhelmed with all the love and respect you gave to me. A beautiful ending. Thank you all. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.